Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Well, hi there again, everybody. It's Rob Godlewski with the Think Small podcast. And today our guest is Leigh Feldman. Leigh is the CEO of Youth Franchise Brands, a very interesting franchisor model. Leigh, welcome to the Think Small podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is truly an honor. I'm excited to be approved to be a guest. You have quite a list of impressive people. So, to even be considered and approved, I feel very special. Thank you.
Not at all. It's going to be a fun conversation. So, first of all, Leigh, tell us about Youth Franchise Brands. What the franchise offering is all about and what you do for your clients and customers.
Yeah, we are a platform of brands. So we have major investments and run day-to-day operational in two specific brands. And our sort of investment this is we invest in brands that play in the overlap of the space of sort of youth, family, and corporate team building. We say we are mostly for kids, but we're also for adults that don't want to go to Top Golf or do axe throwing. We have real skills, real learning. It's hands-on, it's tactile. It's a lot of fun. So two of our brands
And
are
it's
Young Chefs Academy and Flux.
okay, Young Chefs Academy and Flower Power Cooking. So it's all centered around cooking.
Yeah, currently the two brands that we run day-to-day control on, both focused in the cooking category. And the business is about 88% kids, about 12%.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So Leigh, tell us how you got started in this kind of line of work and what led you to be the CEO of Youth Franchise Brand.
Yeah, I think I became the CEO of Youth Franchise Brands because my background of sort of your question of what led me to this line of work sort of fit
Yeah.
perfectly with what this is. I've been a teacher, I've been in the agency world with franchisees, I've been a franchisor, I've worked with other franchise brands, I've been the platform CEO with other groups. And so when they brought this opportunity to me and said, hey, this is something we'd like you to, what do you think? Me having 4 children and wanting to sort of exist in what we consider the social entrepreneurship space, the idea of doing good while doing well, to me was a no-brainer. I was so excited to join the team and leading both Young Chefs Academy and Flower Power Cooking.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about each one because you have two very different brands and
Yeah.
and kind of very different missions for each. So get into them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So Flower Power Cooking Studios, it's more of a tactile experience. It's a family, more focused event. We do a lot of birthday parties, a lot of camps, but a lot of family workshops. It's really about what we play with your food again. It's really the introduction of how does it
I
feel?
like
How
that.
does it look? How does it taste? And truly, how does it feel between your fingers as you're baking and creating and making? What's your response to that as you're building? And there's STEAM-based curriculum in Flower Power, whereas Young Chefs, it's more focused on a membership model. It's continuing education. We say it's a lot kind of like a karate or a taekwondo in the sense that you start off as white chef jacket Young Chefs. Over time, you earn your patches and stripes as you intended, digest curriculum, and then you eventually test to become an example black jacket chef. So just like in karate or taekwondo, you're earning your black. And so Young
Sure.
Chefs, it's a little more, our tagline is serious fun when it comes to real cooking skills and really learning things beyond just the residential kitchen, but really knowing how to go into a kitchen as well, fine dining, catering, and really kind of say, I know what to do here, all the equipment, watch what I can create.
Interesting. So the way you describe it, it can be a one-off event, more like a birthday party, but you also offer kind of a continuum of education as you describe earning the different colored jackets on your way to a black
Yeah,
jacket chef.
for Young
That's
Chefs
interesting.
Academy, we are continuing education as an academy, we have instructors, we have curriculum, we have real certification. So that continuing ed is a major component does. About
Oh, that's the
50% of
that's
our
the separate.
income.
That's the
Yeah,
second brand is Young Chefs Academy, which is that extended education.
yeah, correct. So it's about
Gotcha.
50% of the
Okay.
revenue is based on sort of the membership model of children that are coming to their weekly class, just like they would went to a music lesson or to a language lesson or a swim
Mhm.
class. They're assigned a day, they're assigned a time. And so they're part of that group of students, that cohort, that class that are coming, every Thursday at 6 o'clock and continuing to progress with new skills, learning new recipes every week. The other sort of 50% of revenue is our ancillary buckets. Those are your birthdays, your workshops. So a little more seasonal predictability, and then obviously birthday out through the year based on when people are born. But those are kind of the main factors of the Young Chefs Academy. Whereas Flower Power leans more heavily into the camps.
Okay. And so when did you become the CEO of
Yeah, we
this
actually
model?
closed on the brand exactly 1 year ago, and a week and some change. We ended up closing on the brands May 5th of last.
Okay. But you've been in the franchising kind of world or ecosphere for how long now?
Yeah, I keep saying 17 years, but I just looked at a calendar. It's actually 18. I'm
Okay.
trying to really accept that I have done this for 18 years. I still think I'm a child. I still think I'm a kid at heart. I look at my kids and I'm like, yes, I'm one of you. And then I realize I'm a, balding 45-year-old man. And I just need to accept this at some point in my life. But I have been in the franchising space now for been a
Okay.
franchisee. And then I worked in the aid world really on sort of attribution, acquisition tracking for franchisors, the campaigns they were, and then from worked on the client side and then was recruited to be the CEO of a franchise brand, the CEO of that brand. And I've continued on the CEO path at another brand and now being the platform CEO.
Fantastic. So what I really like to ask my guests here on the Think Small podcast is, it's always fun to talk about rapid growth and sales performance and sales expansion, but talk to us about a time in the franchise world when sales were challenged, right? Revenues were down, models were challenged by whatever, supply chain constraints or economic variability. So talk to us about that time. How did you manage those franchise brands that you were managing at the time, through that period of a contracting revenue?
Yeah, the uncertainty. I mean, I think most everyone will point to COVID being a time
Hmm.
that people were really unsure of what was. I was working in the salon and barbershop space at that time as of a franchisor.
Interesting. Okay.
It was obviously very challenging because you had PPE, you had restrictions for space, you had non-personal touch, you had what was deemed as an essential worker or non-essential based on certain counties and municipalities. Everyone and everything kind of shut down March 17th. The time in which people were shut down varies greatly. We had locations in Billings, Montana that were reopened in 1 month wearing bandanas, which, at the time people were saying, it's not a mask. You need a
That's a far cry from
N95,
an N95 mask,
Yeah,
right?
this isn't okay. But it was fine for them. Whereas we
Right.
had locations in Multnomah, King County, Santa Clara that were the last two. So revenue was certainly an interesting thing. But when it comes to general P and the brands that I choose, one of the things that I am lucky about, as far as I even consider being a partner with or leading, is that traditionally, when business is bad for most, business is pretty good. And those are things where people are investing in themselves or their children. Yes, the wallets might be squeezed, people might restrict sort of their spending, but when it traditionally comes to recession, or as we saw with the pandemic, people still want to continue in the schedules that they had. So I feel very lucky that a lot of the brands that I've worked with actually did really well during times. And I know that's a hard thing to say that when business was bad for most people, business was good for them. That's certainly
Right.
what I found.
And I certainly get varying degrees of that question as it relates to COVID, right? Some literally had to completely shut down their businesses. Others thrived.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting to see different viewpoints. But yeah, during that period, if you were still going to take care of your children and you're certainly still going to take care of your pets, and so anything that supports that, I'm sure those businesses thrive.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, it's one of those things that I always think about related to going through first action. There's a few key points that someone said as far as lessons they had learned through an acquisition that they own and that they shared with me. And number one is, what got you here to this deal isn't next one. And related
Right.
to that, you might need to pivot. It might need to add breadth and depth of service. And I think the ones that very well when it comes to those times of sort of they were able to figure out what did their clients need. And it's that sort of adage of it's easier to find a product for your client than it is for your product. And so being able to pivot, add breadth and depth is, I think that's where you saw a lot of groups, especially in the franchising space, really expand wing and come out of it on the positive side. And I'm thankful that I was part of brands and leading brands. They were open to that wing. They were willing to adjust. They were willing. Everyone now is talking about AI and how this
Hmm.
is going to
Hmm.
change everything. I certainly think the groups that are willing to adapt, those are the ones going to win if it's to what does this look after everything is.
We can get into the AI discussion in a second here, but what I want to ask you then is talk to us about a period, and maybe Youth Franchise Brands is in this period right now, hopefully, but of that period of rapid expansion and just highly accelerated growth, right? Because Leigh, you and I both know that the challenges and problems that show up during rapid expansion are quite different than those that are showing up in a contraction time period. So
Oh, absolutely.
Talk to us about your experience in leading a business through rapid expansion.
Yeah, I think the challenges I've seen are certainly loss of the person. I really like to do business so that I have a relationship that I can call, that they can email me and notes. There is
Mm,
that belief. And in franchising, the adage of we only do well if you do well is absolutely true. So I want to make sure people feel so when it comes to that support though, the challenge with rapid expansion is certainly how do you keep sort of the ethos, brand, mission, values of what people bought into? And that might be people, process, technology, but I certainly try to keep that personal touch. I do. When it comes to sort of the opposite, I always remember in school, what causes brands to die? These are them die, and it's differentiation, innovation, efficiency, and if you're not operating, the brand will die. They dies for the purpose of the acronym. But so when I think about the growth, I'm always cognizant of those. How are we growing? Is it with the same product? Is it the breadth and depth? Is there differentiation? Are we different? The people that are doing things we have, is there IP that separates us? Is there innovation related to that IP? How are we growing? How are we expanding? Are there efficiencies? Are there opportunities that we can optimize? Things that expand on, things that we need to
hmm
cancel or remove? What is recommended versus what is required? And then the speed. We might not ship what is perfect, but we certainly need to, especially related to the differentiation and sort of grabbing. And so those are the things I think about, all laddering up to the culture and the brand bought into, and really that personal touch. Yes, there will be one day where people will be unable to get a hold of the lead. But that day would be if we have 500 locations, 1,000 locations, and you have different systems. I think we are positioned to really be able to hold people's hand at any level that they'd like, 100 to 250 unit challenge. Because you start seeing people progress with the coaching, the learning, the self-reliance, the understanding of what, and those calls about, hey, I need to check in and make sure ability structures, they sort of change as people go franchise system. And that's what I love about franchise, is that if we do it correctly, we are setting for success to go through kind of the timeline in our pipeline to where they can do phone and just simply rely on us that allows them to operate. And that's,
right.
again, the part I love about franchise. If you find a good franchise that truly sees you as a partner, they should be providing all the things you need to be.
Very interesting. So you're in the early stages of this effort under Youth Franchise Brands, right?
Yeah, we're a
So
year in with 53 locations. Early stages
53
indeed.
total locations between the two brands, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So what does the next 3 to 5 years look like for the brands?
Yeah, for us, fortunately, we are sort of family office, private equity in the truest sense. It's a group of us that pulled money together. This is not sort of evil private equity that you see of squeezing the asset and cutting meat off the bone. This is more holdco
Or have
family
lived
office.
through?
Yes, yes. And that is not by any means to say that all private equity is bad, but for most of my
Of course
experiences
not.
that I've seen for other folks, that personal touch is lost. All of a sudden, you can't get people on the phone, or you're not even emailing them. You're taking out tickets. And I experienced that myself as a franchise. So I certainly think there's some challenges that come with the operational efficiency, all while managing, EBITDA aggressively each quarter,
Mhm,
PE
mhm.
might require. So for us, when I say we're private equity, it's truly private equity, money pooled as sort of a holdco family office. So our growth projections and plans are to award 10 territories per year to the right operators, people that really understand what is needed for a business that is so much about and a remarkable experience, something where we want people leaving saying, that was incredible. Tell other friends, other family, my coworker, people online about what Young Chefs and Flower Power does.
So that sounds like very, I guess I don't want to use the word cautious, but very planned, stable,
Modest.
consistent, modest growth. Um, 10 new franchises between the two brands doesn't sound like an inordinate amount or inordinate number, but if that's the number that's going to get your organization to drive the growth you want to see, that's fantastic. And
Yeah, we feel very
I'm
fortunate.
actually, yeah, I'm actually kind of impressed by the fact that you didn't say 100 or 200 a year. That would go
Well,
directly against what you just said about staying connected to your
yeah.
franchisees, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of that also has to do with sort of our investments in what we see for increasing system-wide sales. We have two brands. There's a lot of learnings for both. It's a shared
Sure.
service thesis. We were able to limit some of going out and CapEx related to offices, all the things that we sort of saw as opportunity to really restructure org chart, refunnel money into the things that we know are bringing a true return on ad spend and a return on investment for our franchisees. There are certainly some, because of the human expert of remarkable experience, that do it better than others. As we look at LTV for some locations versus others, there are truly some that are creating that real relationship with
That's
their
long-term
clients, with
value,
those
right?
kids. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And so for us, it's really about investing in locations that are doing it exceptionally well. And so part of our growth is not just based on, yeah, let's sell 100 units and just into the brands, because we want to find the right operators to partner with that we know that if we can send people to them, they will convert them, make them happy, they will provide the joy of cooking, the long-term value of those people seeing how we do it, and to stay. And so a lot of our growth is also on seeing system-wide sales. I think when you get private equity, a lot of it is grow, 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 develop the snow, which is sold but not owned. And there's sort of a misstep in not really investing the people that are already part of the brand. And so for us, we invest very heavily in getting people to our. Part of that is nationally, we have a 78% conversion rate. We know that if we send 7 kids to a location, 5 of those kids are going to say a membership, a class, a camper. The
That sounds
experience is
incredibly high.
phenomenal. It is. The experience is phenomenal. It's hands-on, it's screen-free, it's tactile learning. It is all the things we do, and it's a real skill. It's cooking. People love to cook. They love to explore all these things that they maybe see but have never been able to. And it's the social aspect of kids getting to meet other. It's the community aspect, meeting people that are part of your market, part of your area, part of your town that maybe you didn't know. Meeting kids from other middle schools, elementary schools, high schools. So that larger community aspect. It's math, the heating, all of the things that are the wow factors for. And for the older
Sure.
kids, it's really entrepreneurial. It's about meal planning, budgeting, prep, couponing, shopping, ideally so that you can take care of yourself and one day a partner and really show and prove to your family and say, pun intended, watch me cook, which is a phrase a lot of kids use to sort of say, see what I can do. And this is their chance for the kids to go home, show mom and dad, hey, look what I've learned, look what I can create, and taste what I've made.
So Lee, can I ask you, do you use that messaging with the different age groups of the youth that you're serving?
Absolutely.
More of a STEM or STEAM aspect to the younger kids and more of an entrepreneurial kind of approach to the older kids?
Oh, 100%. So our
That's really
education
interesting.
is very broken out by age groups. And, obviously some social maturity, spatial awareness, situational awareness, but generally our programs are 3 to 6 kinder cooks. And that's the only group that are sort of a mommy and me, daddy and me, where the parents are allowed in. 7 to
Got
10
it.
is junior chefs, and parents are asked to stay outside of the room so the kids can really and not have a parent hovering over them, watching what they're doing, making comments. Because even as a parent of 4, there's some times that I use, or my wife would say a lot of times that I use language that isn't positive. It's not empowering and we want to be really cognizant. One of the examples is we always try to use the word even. How do we make this even better? We're starting from the place of it's already good. How can we make it even
Mm.
better? Just like if I asked you, how do I make this podcast even worse? What could I do to make this even worse? You'd go, wait a minute, is it already bad? So there's certain things that we
Yeah, find a
teach
new
and
host.
train on. No, this is great. But there's certain things that we train on and teach that are beyond the lessons of teaching. It's really related to the language of how we interact with children at
Hmm.
certain ages. So junior chefs 7 to 10, senior chefs kind of 11 to 13, and then your teen classes 13 or 14 to 17 programming beyond that. And so we have very different instructions, curriculum, types of programming, levels of responsibility of deploy to different children at different ages.
Okay. So because these two brands are very specific, right? They have a very different offering, if you will. Do you allow your franchisees to participate in both brands, or are they designated one or the
Yeah, we actually have our first franchisee in the Philadelphia area that has both brands. She's really excited to take on one of each. He sees them as sort of, I don't want to say an opportunity of progression or regression, but she sees them as a chance to find the kids in Flower Power that are really interested in culinary and say, hey, you're taking this a little. I think Young Chef be for you. And certainly if there's some
Mhm.
kids at Young Chefs that maybe aren't as into it, have a little more problem with attention or retention, maybe just have some wiggles to say, I think you might enjoy exploring. And so it's not to say that one brand is more grown up or different than the other. We teach different skills in a different way to the kids, and there's different expectations that we try to manage to related to how the kids for real learning. And so she sees the opportunity of both brands to sort of allow them to graduate or go.
So what's the top end age for the brands, for Young Chefs Academy.
Yeah, we have for young chefs a Young at Heart program. And so we have adults that'll come in that are as old as 86. That's not to say you couldn't be 87. We're obviously hoping that our 86-year-olds will turn another year older and come back to continue to learn with us. But we serve people that are young at heart. Our core focus, though, when you talk about a breakdown of the brands, again, being about 80% adults or 88% children, 12% of adults, the core focus for the kids is sort of in the 6 to 14 age range. And for the adults, generally families or corporate events. So you're looking kind of in the 40 range. But we certainly see people older for birthday parties, family events.
Got it. So are most of the events held in the customers or clients' homes, or do they go to a location, or do they go to your franchisee's home?
No, they go to our actual franchise physical location. So we build out in a commercial space 2 residential
Okay.
kitchen classrooms. And so you walk in and it is very much a learning academy. Windows, and you look against the wall and it looks like your home kitchen. Your home kitchen probably looks nicer, but it is a fridge, a stove, a dishwasher, sink, wave, cabinets, and then you turn and it's a classroom. It's mise en place table to really practice and master and doing instruction-wise
Hmm.
based on the curriculum and
Very interesting. So with these relatively modest growth plans, it sounds like they're very attainable and achievable. What could possibly be slowing you down or holding you back from achieving these goals?
Yeah, we want to find the right people to partner with. We want to make sure that people are self-aware. Ideally, you want to find a magnetic people that know how to run and manage a very small team because it is for both brands, but people still need to want to work for them. You need to create an environment where people want to work. Fortunately, everyone that works at Young Chefs really enjoys it. You're talking about being in a kitchen, being in a cooking with kids. It's fairly fast paced with 90-minute classes before turning over room. So people really enjoy it. But you as a business owner, whether you are an operator or more semi-absentee, you need to still create an environment or be a personality that people say, yeah, I want to work for that person. And so we want people that are a little self-aware, because if they are not that and not able to really around them, we need to know that they know how to that operates it. So first,
Hmm.
we always look for great operators, people that we can partner with and work in the franchise model. We want success to be on their mind. We want operational efficiencies in their mind. We want improvements to be on. But again, most importantly, we want them to know how to work with a team. We want them to care about reputation and relationship in the market. We jokingly say to be a good owner, Young Chefs or Flower Power, you need to love your community, you need to like cooking, and you need to tolerate children. Obviously, it's somewhat reversed, but those are the types of people for. And so we want to find the right partners in the markets where we see opportunity based on certain reports that will, based on old income, demographics, child density. And then, of course, ultimately, they need to get funding. That can be a daunting process for some folks. SBA, Rob, ELOC process, have the funds available to own and operate a Young Chefs or Flower Power. So
Sure.
while our growth is modest, we need to first make sure they're the right partner before sort of assist them to walk down the steps. What does it look like to own a business and a brand? We get a lot of people that are to Young Chefs through camps, through birthday parties, through classes, through team building exercises, and they say, this is amazing. You're teaching kids and families how to cook. I want to do. But we want to make sure we want them to do it as they represent our brand.
So you've got a pretty robust vetting process and application process to understand who's you can get a good idea of who's going to be a success and who's not, I
I'd like
imagine,
to
right?
think that we do. We have a pretty good filter, but with any filter, there's sometimes filter fail. We want
No,
to make
sure.
sure that our franchisees in market, if people are talking about owning an opera brand already exists, we're very big on honestly territory and protections and all those things, not pulling or cannibalizing traffic. But we want to make sure those owners and operators approve any candidates as well. They're going to potentially be working together in the market. Again, reputation and relationship, as well as experience, is everything in this. So if there's any hesitance whatsoever from our franchise saying, I have some concerns about that person also owning one of these in my area, we politely decline.
Got it. So you're talking about, the second and third and fourth locations in an existing territory
Correct.
situation, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And so
So
our
you did
dream for
touch
any
on it. Oh,
expansion, oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry, our dream for any expansion is that we have operators that sort of own a region, own a state, and expand and keep to see those efficient. When you have
So
one
they can buy
location,
multiple franchises,
yeah,
essentially.
correct, yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Got it. So you kind of touched on it earlier, Lee, and this is fascinating conversation because I love the model. Uh, Um, And you mentioned that you can be an owner operator or kind of an absentee owner, meaning you just own the place and hire the staff to do it. Is it you can do kind of both? Does this
You
model
absolutely
lend
can.
itself to doing both?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with any brand, anything that really provides the support, you could even eventually move to fully absent. We do have some owners that are that, but do not want to give the false impression. These are people that have been in our system 15 plus years, and they're able to really step away because they
Sure.
have the team managing the
They're
business day to
experienced
day.
franchisees and they kind of know what to do. And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. They've seen it all at this point, they'll tell you. But certainly being semi-absentee executive model is the phrase a lot of folks will use. It's very doable. Obviously we'd want you involved in the business for the first
sure.
6 to 9 months to make care of everything. And as I tell people always, it's still at the end of the day your business. You have to find the people that care about it, love, represent it in the way that you wanted. Sometimes they can represent it better than the owner, going back to that sort of magnetic personality. But at the end of the day, it is still your business. And that question comes up. Well, what happens if my team is out sick or I don't have those people? That's a question you need to answer as an owner of what do I plan? I always like to have the
Right.
conversation with folks though, assuming success. What does your day to day look like if you are power 3 years from? And it's always interesting to see what people want to focus on. Oh, I'd be going out to the school, teaching classes at school. I'd be meeting with the PTA and PTO about the things we do. Oh, I'd be in the back office just running payroll, running bets, going over paperwork, responding to emails, but not as stressed as I am at my current role at my corporate gig. And so that's the thing, is always interesting to find out what people want on. I love the people that come in and say, this is amazing. I want to be a teacher, or I've here before. I want to be a chef. I think I can teach people how to cook. But sometimes the most value for you as an owner is not being the operator in the classroom. It's actually being out of the classroom and figuring out the things that
Right.
provide more value for your business. So again, I always love people when they say, I want to do this, I want to teach, but I also want to know what are the other things you want to do, assuming you can find will teach the classes and do the kind of data it is. Again, it's a very low staffing model. Each classroom has a lead instructor, and so you have 2 people in the classroom with the kids, and then you have 1 front desk floater. About 40% of our owners do one of 3 roles. The other
Hmm.
60% say, I'll be out providing more value for the business versus having people that will do these things.
Interesting. So we touched on it earlier, but I want to pick up the subject again, and that is the integration of AI tools into your business. So I we invariably get to the AI subject on this Think Small podcast with CEOs and business owners, but I want to get your take on it because the actual delivery of your service doesn't seem like it has a lot of AI impact. But I want to hear it from you. How are, if at all, how are you integrating AI into this?
Yeah, certainly less on the delivery of our service. The curriculum and all the things that we
Sure.
create really needs to be treated with children for, again, attention and retention. When we talk about candidates and modest growth, one of the things I love the most is people going, I think I could do this myself. I'll just plug into any LLM a bunch of recipes and I'll have them spit back and create curriculum for me. And 2 weeks later, they come knocking going, oh my God, they created these things. These are terrible. It's horrible. We have 22 years of curriculum that has been taught in classroom, really allows us to, from a time point of view, of what kids can make minutes. Again, if you put this into any LLM, you're going to get quesadillas, pasta, really simple things. And it's not going to know
Got it.
portion sizes. It's not going to know the timing, the steps to do. And we understand. When I was visiting a location, a 90-minute class, I was watching 7 to 10-year-old a chocolate zucchini brownie with a white glaze, while also making a sourdough quattro formaggio pizza, all in 90 minutes. AI is not there yet to be able to tell you all the ingredients for the shopping list, portion sizes, the steps, the tools, when to put those in, the oven, when to pre-bake, preheat, all these things related to a nice. But when it comes to
And what
how
can be
we,
accomplished in a 90-minute period by a 7-year-old?
oh, absolutely. And it needs to be tested again to know that the skill sets that we are teaching are things that, again, a child, pun intended, can really digest to be able to take
Right.
home with them, as well as showstopper moments, fun facts, all the things, Dan. When it comes to AI and how we're leveraging it, for us, it's really on the automation segmentation side. It's really figuring out the way to talk to our customers to deliver the information they need at the time they need it. So again, less, like you said, about the actual programming and implement curriculum in the class. AI is not a teacher, but it certainly can replace some of the things we might traditionally have up front.
Interesting. So more on the franchisor side than the franchisee side, I think you'd say right now, right, Lee?
Yeah, we're certainly here to not sound callous, to try to limit some of the labor expense for folks where they traditionally were needing people to just send emails or certain admin tasks that understands it and also has if this then that or if not this then that sequences when campaigns, commissions, drip funnels, all for the purposes of sort of delivering a better experience and providing the information to our customers that they really want.
So, Lee, is kind of a wrap up question here. I know that the franchising model is a very attractive, I'd say, next stage business opportunity for people looking to pivot their careers. So, if one of our listeners is listening to this podcast and says, "Oh my gosh, I'd like more information," how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, please have them reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Leigh, L-I-G-H Feldman. Corey Feldman is a name that might ring a bell for people of a certain age, so same
Sure,
last name.
sure, okay,
If you don't know who Corey Feldman is, you may be too young to own a franchise. I say that as a joke because you're never too young to franchise, and you should certainly reach out
understood.
and talk to me. Obviously, I would love for people to check out youngacademy.com and Flour, spelled like flour, F-U-R, Power Cooking Studios online. Certainly to take classes with their families themselves, maybe even have a birthday party or workshop event for their, and then of course, again, to talk to me about housing. We're certainly looking for great partners in a lot of markets.
That's great. Well, Lee, I can't thank you enough for your time today talking to us on the Think Small podcast. Leigh Feldman, CEO of Youth Franchise Brands. We can't thank you enough for your time today, Lee.
Well, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I can't wait to listen to the episode. And again, thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?